Hello, and welcome to You're Fired, the Layoff Summit here at GatherVerse. Christopher, that was absolutely amazing introduction. Couldn't have said it better myself. So, what an amazing intro, Christopher. But we've got an amazing panel here with us today, and with this roundtable, we're going to be speaking about being laid off in the AI era, preparing for the coming wave. And as we all know, AI is just such a big technology and just changing everyone's lives and people losing jobs left, right, and center, like Christopher was just saying. And this is a very important discussion to have. So I'm looking forward to this roundtable. So what we'll do is we'll go around the table. We'll start with Dr. Jane, and then we'll go to Asia, Jens, Emily, and Randall. And what we'll do is just quick 30-second introduction from each of you, because there's a lot to get through in this discussion. So quick 30 seconds from each of you, and then we will get on with the questions. So Dr. Jane, over to you.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Dr. Jane. I am a 20-plus year science researcher, microbiologist. Currently, I'm a medical educator at an osteopath school in Billings, Montana. But more importantly, I have been working for the last 15 years to try and innovate a new modality for engaging future learners to really recruit future physicians, allied health workers, nursing students. So my husband and I, we've started a new company, MedMicroMaps, and we're building a cross-platform to actually really bring people into the microbial world to solve these problems. So absolutely going to be addressing about the change in the workforce in healthcare and allied fields so that I can prepare my students for futures.
Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Jane. And that sounds amazing, by the way. Thank you so much for being with us. Asia, over to you. Welcome.
Hi there. It's Asya Hadeen. I know, keeps you on your toes.
Welcome anyways. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much for having me here. So again, my name is Asya Hadeen. I'm a leadership coach and trainer, and really I focus on helping mid-career professionals become the type of leader you want to work for, right? That type of boss that you wish that you had, and that you want on your teams when you're at senior leadership in the organization. But I do that by focusing on keeping them promotion ready. And I don't consider myself a career coach. I really am a leadership and executive coach. But here's the reality that I find the only times we've ever felt truly miserable professionally is when we thought we didn't have a choice, which is why this conversation is so incredible, right? If you look back to any time in your life, right, misery comes from having no choice. And when you're promotion ready, by definition, you've invested in maintaining your options and your choices open so that you're always the one choosing what's next in your career versus having a corporate decision or a shift in technology dictate it for you. So I'm excited to be in this conversation because I spend so much time talking about kind of staying a few steps ahead and being the type of person who consistently creates opportunities, not because you're disloyal and want to leave, but because on the contrary, you're actually loyal. And this way you get to continue to choose to stay, not because you have to, but because you want to. So looking forward to this.
Asya, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us. And amazing introduction. Jens, over to you. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much. And I'm really blessed to be again with GatherVerse and all you beautiful people. I'm a media artist. I'm co-founder of Lucid World with my creative partner, Sarah de Master. I would like to mention her because she has also been working on the forefront of creative endeavors, what it does actually mean to be creative. She's an actor. I'm a media artist, and we have been dipping both into creating opportunities for ourselves because the job market out there is really harsh. And what has been happening lately is we try to find opportunities to collaborate with people who have a different approach to what it means actually to work regeneratively. So basically, why I'm really thrilled to be here is I will probably get a lot of information that comes from the heart and how we can tackle psychosis. I'm thrilled with the work of Emily, for instance, who really tackles on a micro level, on an individual level, what we can do in order to just have a better outlook and probably getting through the victimhood which comes up when we are laid off, and now it will become an avalanche of victimhood if we are not taking this into our proper hands. And I'm really thrilled to be here and discuss this with you.
Thank you very much, James, for joining us, and appreciate each and every one of your time for joining us here today. Emily, over to you. Quick 30-second introduction, and we'll get on with the discussion. So over to you, Emily.
Cool. I feel like Jens kind of just introduced me for me.
Just quickly introduce yourself anyway, quickly, and then we'll go to random.
Yeah, I just in relation to that, I do this series called Mind Bites, which is a monthly series that offers tips and tools to help reprogram your mind. So I wrote a book about the psychology of discrimination, where I learned to understand how we all contribute to racism as a start, and then other forms of discrimination from there. How do we all contribute when we don't realize to the problems that have greater impacts? So I wrote a book about that, another book about the evolution of consciousness, which is called My Brain Explained, a modern conversation of the mind, which is pretty fun. Check out my YouTube page, look up the 100 Days of Color. I did an experiment with the Spotify program where I was able to find evidence of algorithmic bias, which was fun, and have some cool graphics with that if you're interested. But yeah, check me out. It'll be all right if you have any questions on any of that.
Thank you for joining us, Emily. And Jens, if you could mute your microphone too, please. Randall, over to you. Welcome to the table.
Yeah, thank you. What an amazing opportunity to join all of you today. I think back on my career. Currently I am the industry director for telecommunications at a company called Esri, a GIS company. GIS is at the heart of just about anything everybody's trying to get done these days. Looking back at my career, I think back to all these tools I've gathered along the way to try and help me be a better leader, a better worker, a better student, in the times where I've been a student. In my role, I work with telecommunications organizations throughout the world on improving their workflows, improving the lives of their employees and their customers by leveraging what we produce here at the company. But in addition to that, it's all the other resources that our partners and government agencies bring to the table. So I found myself listening a lot, learning, which is just fantastic to join something like this. And then my favorite thing to do is really just help people do things in a little easier way, right? Let the machine do the heavy lifting. We do leverage AI and machine learning in a lot of what we do. But how we can use that to augment our capabilities as opposed to replace is key. So this is a really exciting opportunity to join, and thanks for having me today.
Thank you very much, Randall. And we're about to get into those discussions, indeed, Randall. So we're going to start off with, before actually we do the first question, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Russell Bundy. I'm Director of Partnerships at GatherVerse. So I handle all the partnership sides for GatherVerse. And I'm also the CEO of MadBob, which is a women creators platform where we help women creators across the world, whether it's the music industry, entertainment industries, etc., and provide them a place to sell their various different sort of like creativity assets, etc., and allow them to NFT them basically on our platform. So that's pretty much for me. Let's get straight into the questions because I want to start these amazing discussions. So the first question is, how can individuals proactively prepare for job security in sectors heavily impacted by AI integration? Very, very important question. And we'll bring in Emily onto this one, and then we'll also talk to Randall because I'm very curious to hear your side of things, Randall. So Emily, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I mean, I feel like from my perspective, like I am all about mental health and psychological well-being, spiritual well-being, like I see well-being as being, sort of 5 factors. You have physicality, mentality, emotionability, sexuality, and spirituality. So we have to incorporate all of those into our day in some form to look after ourselves. And when it comes to having layoffs and to losing your position, that obviously jeopardizes pretty much all of those things, because you're no longer able to support yourself and support your family in the way that you need to. And when it comes to universal basic income, universal basic services, however you do it, I've said this on GatherVerse before, and I'll say it again, is, in this world, every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we require that people have to pay to live, there have to be people that can't afford to. That's just how it works. That's balance, So when it comes to universal basic services and universal basic income, I see this as a statement of equality, where right now, like, nobody has any rights, but our system is designed so that certain groups of individuals are more likely to be able to hire their rights in a way. Like, you can be born into a certain body, which puts you into particular privileges, which means that you're going to be surrounded by people that are more likely to have a kind of income that can pay for your needs, your water and your food. Right now, water is a privilege, it's not a right. And we say that it's a right, but it's a privilege, because if it was a right, you'd have it and you wouldn't ever have to worry about it. Like, if there's something that you feel that you need, but you have to earn it, that's not a right, it's a privilege. That's kind of like where I'm at. So like, I think that when it comes to all of this, like, we just have to look after ourselves as a priority. And it's kind of weird that we've reached this point where our survivalism is jeopardizing our survival. Like, we're clinging to this competitive system, this idea of zero sum, where someone has to lose so someone else can gain, and it's not necessarily necessary.
Right.
So like, the best thing I can say is like for me, money doesn't have any value. Money is a number on a screen, and if you don't have the internet, you can't even access it, you can't even see it. So I value water, I value food, I value friendship, I value love, I value all those good things, and money is one of the ways that I can access it. So I think that, if anything, we kind of need to change our perspective on what value money actually has, and what is it we're valuing. Are we valuing the number, or are we valuing what it gives us access to? That's just me.
That's an interesting point of view, and there's no right or wrong answers to this question, right? It's everyone's personal opinion and what you think, and I see that as a very sort of interesting perspective that you have. And Randall, I'll come to you in a second, but I just want to bring in Asia into this question, because I'm curious to hear how, especially with your clients, how have you been preparing them for the job security, right? In the sectors like heavily impacted by AI. I'm curious to hear your perspective of this as well, and we will get to you, Randall. I just wanted to.
Absolutely. So first of all, Emily, I love everything that you said, right? And I want to kind of speak more directly to the kind of the immediate changes that we can control as we're seeing a shift in industry, right? This is not new. We're behaving as though shifts in industry that make jobs obsolete is something new. Now, maybe it didn't used to be on computers. It didn't used to be in your hand. I don't know. It wasn't called AI, but it's not new, right? So what have we done in the past? And I think that's what frightens us most and puts us into like this fear spiral of, the world is on fire, because we really are treating it as though it's something that hasn't happened before. That's absolutely incorrect. It's happened many, many times over, right? All of our industries have shifted the way that they work in such a way that the same amount of output or more output requires far less labor than it used to, right? At every level. Right, at every level. So that the rooms of accountants are now replaced by certain types of, algorithms and programs that can handle some of that for you. So I'm going to go back to, what I was saying when I introduced myself, that I really think that our job as individual professionals who are trying to make a living, because we want access to those things that, that financial, that income makes available to us, whether it's the place you live or the type of healthcare you have. And again, agree, maybe those things should be universal and everyone should have them. But given that that's not the case, right, how can we maximize our ability to earn an income and hopefully, have some pleasure and enjoyment in the process? And I really do think that that comes from being always proactively prepared, right? You can ignore everything after, about being impacted by AI, but always being proactively prepared, meaning you always have a series of opportunities kind of warmly bubbling in the background. You introduce yourself in such a way that people hear how you can solve their problems, right? You were able to be intentional about the way that we connect with other people's set of priorities, right? And again, I know that that's kind of big and broad, but really what I want to bring it down to is don't panic, right? What Emily was saying about just your mindset and your brain, and, just because your brain serves it up doesn't make it true. And just because it's true, it's not the only thing that's true. And it's not the only thing that should be driving the decisions you make and how you manage and moderate your career. So, with that in mind, I would say become the type of person who does outreach to 3 people a day, every day, whether it's on LinkedIn or anywhere else, but be that type of person. Be the type of person who attends a career event every month, even if you're not looking. Why? Simply because it's how you manage a career, the same as you would be managing your finances. A career isn't something, and we've gotten to this place where we think a career is something you settle into, and then I got the job and I'm done, and I'm going to wait and see what they do with me next. That's not how that works, folks. You are the chief decision maker. You're the chief strategist, right? You're the CEO of your career. So behave like you're the CEO of your career. What would you do if, you were running your own small company and you knew there was a new technology coming in, right? You would equip yourself. You would, distinguish how you can maybe adopt some of that technology and leverage it to do what you're doing even better. You would see what differentiates what you do from that technology. I mean, I love AI. Right? I can ask it to give me, hey, I'm talking about this topic with my leadership group tonight. Give me, 3 exercises we might do to help them reflect. And it's great. Right? It'll give me 10 options and I can choose. It helps me do my job better. But I can also see why it would be scary. But again, if we approach it from the place of, okay, I want to be the type of person that whatever scary thing comes around the corner, I've already got some options. I've got whatever you want to think about, some weapons or some protections, or however you want to see that in your head, but definitely not leaving it at the in the hands of either the organization or the economy or a technology or something outside of you, and then freaking out about that. Right. So I'll stop there.
No, I mean, I get it. Absolutely. You can go deep on this, subject and this topic completely. But I mean, just to kind of give a quick summary, right? For example, in the architecture, or not the architecture, but like back in the days when they used to do farming, right? They used to have horses and carriages and stuff like that doing farming, and then tractors come along, right? And then all of a sudden, like, hundreds of people like lost their jobs who were doing the farming lands, and now the tractors overtook it, right? That's just one simple example, but the point is, and what you're getting at is, you just need to be constantly evolving, constantly changing, constantly got networking, looking for opportunities out there and saying, hey, what are my options? What are my opportunities? Can I go here? Can I go there? Can I use AI with this? Can I use AI with that, etc.? So completely get what you're saying. Thank you so much. And we're going to go straight on to the next question now. And then Randall, we will get you onto this next question, which is, what are the most effective ways for organizations to transition employees into new roles where their jobs are replaced? So when their jobs are replaced by AI. So Randall, perfect person to talk on this subject. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And, much of what was said on the previous question I would apply here. I think about Katherine Johnson, mathematician at NASA, right? She was employed as a human computer. And that's the kind of role that no longer exists. We have mathematicians that work in the workplace in certain roles, but whether it's a lift operator or a switchboard operator like my grandmother was, warehouse workers, bank tellers, etc., roles change, technology change. We evolve in our capabilities as we're trying to, well, sometimes do more with less people faster than ever before in order to keep up with the demands of society, whether like in telecommunications, which is the industry I work in. The volume of change in the industry is profound. The ability to keep up with the demand of consumers, say, to deliver broadband access to rural communities or globally, that capability is predicated upon the resources available. So when you think about ways organizations can transition employees into roles that maybe AI is either replacing those roles, or what we see a lot in the telecom area is this augmenting of capabilities in order to meet the demands of society. What an example of that looks like. I speak regularly about what we call bringing the field to the engineer, bringing that natural environment to the desktop of somebody that's trying to plan, design, or operate a telecommunications network.
Right.
Consumer demand needs this much earlier than what companies are able to deliver. Well, as a CEO or a CTO of a telecom company, I've got to identify the skill set and understand my workforce, and see where we're lacking in order to keep up with that demand. I see as telecommunications providers as an obligation to not only, well, know your people, right? Honor the workforce that you have, understand what they're good at, help them gain more tools for their toolbox so that they are capable to, whether it's, well, we used to use a phrase, keep the brains inside and the brawn outside. Let the heavy lifting be done by something like AI or a machine learning tool that is designed to do, because let's be real, they can do a tremendous amount of big data analysis or number crunching or that sort of thing. But we have to keep the intelligence and honor the wisdom of our workforce. So we got to keep them up to date as to technology trends, where the business is going, and then provide learning opportunities and support to help people have an opportunity to take the training. And then I think also, and to end here, I think, as we transition employees to new roles, one of the biggest things I think each one of us has to have is not only personal accountability for our own welfare and what we're going to do in our career, but we have to be agile and flexible in our mindset and what we're going to do. And much like what was said, we're not going to settle into one career and do the same thing for the rest of our life. Very few roles, I think, get to do that these days.
Absolutely, Randall. I completely 100% agree with everything you said. And, I think also eventually they'll move into other roles. Like, for example, what I mean by that is like how Christopher said, moving into the metaverse, right? And new job opportunities can come up inside the metaverse, which will be alternatives to having, a job that you might have in person, for example. So I definitely think there's going to be sort of new roles and new opportunities as we go along. And I use the farming example as a great example to that as well. That's not including like the Industrial Revolution and things like that as well. And, definitely there's going to be new opportunities, not just inside the metaverse, but, maybe even potentially coding the AI and stuff like that as well, which these new job opportunities are going to come up with. So absolutely, Randall, completely agree with you. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Thanks.
And Dr. Jane, I want to bring you on this as well, because from a metaverse point of view, which I just spoke about, maybe this could be the opportunity that can transition employees into new roles, right?
Yeah, I'm absolutely, I'm jokingly say I'm a believer, but it has to do with really engaging who your population is. So regarding education, for us, whenever it was the pandemic, it happened so fast and we had to learn all these new programs. And the most effective delivery of it is whenever there was a dialogue with us, the students, the faculty, and our administrators. And so that's something about what can the workplace do and training. And whenever there's a phase out, the communication is important, training is important. And I would love to, especially people who have experience, and my perspective of healthcare, my mom's a 30+ year nurse, is asking your employees who have experience of the old way of doing what was repetitive. What can we solve from this? Let's get creative. And I think that I loved, especially what Emily was talking about, the fear mentality, where there's so much headlines about the AI is going to take your job. I mean, even the title of this is introducing fear. And saying, well, no, this is a transition. We've done the internet. We've done computers. We've gotten over this. Let us baby step. And so like our school, we were provided access to a webinar series. And I started listening about what tools can I be used. And within a short period of time of that practice, that training, then I started implementing it and using it in creative ways that I hadn't done before. So that's just a really providing opportunities, dialogue, regular communication. Those are such an important roles of the actual infrastructure of whomever your institution for higher education or telecommunications, so that the employees don't lose their jobs, they enhance them.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I just think there's like, there's like Christopher said earlier, right? AI is here. AI has already taken over some people's jobs, and I'm not putting the fear into people, just FYI, but it is here and it's here to stay, and it's just about adapting and just finding those new opportunities which could come up as you go into the future, whether that's inside the metaverse, whether that's a different role inside the company itself, whether that's coding, the AI, etc. And just finding those opportunities and adjusting accordingly, which is why obviously you need to be networking, of course. So I want to quickly welcome Matt Magera. Welcome to the roundtable. We'll bring you on this next question, and then also Jens, we will bring you on this question as well, which is, what role should government policy play in supporting workers displaced by AI, and what models from around the world can we learn from? So we'll start off with Jens, and then we'll go over to you after Matt. So Jens, do you want to kick us off on this question?
I will do my best. I'm not really an expert in government policy as such, but it's very interesting what's happening now. Me arriving to Basel City, my hometown, and I see how people are in distress because of new technologies rising and the social conflicts that are rising based on what happens during the pandemic. And the Swiss people, or the people from my city, really try to tackle this from a point of view of, hardline business.
Like stop everything kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. But this is going to be crazy for everybody. I see that happening, and there is a huge fear induced. So what I would like to foster companies, or let's say governments, foster is self-governance to a certain degree, where we get to understand that we have a say. We get to understand that what our role is and how we can actually disrupt by the mere understanding what we can feed into this whole AI question is of big importance. That's my notion. And when someone is laid off because of an AI taking over, there should be an educational development from within a company where this is happening, that fosters, well, you have a lot of opportunities now, to lay out the opportunities that are rising, actually, because the work that has been done by this person is bureaucratic character, and bring in more the creative aspects of a work. And I think creativity is going to solve a lot of problems anyways. So and I don't think that creativity will be taken over by AI. So I think we should focus on the creative aspects of humanity and community, and really get together with the help of AI, and that foster that kind of developments where creativity is really carrying us through.
No, I mean, you have a good point there. And the thing is, like with AI, like it could, potentially, as it gets more sort of like, let's say they start having emotions, right? And they start becoming like human-like and stuff like that. That's when I think we're going to have a serious problem, especially from a creative point of view, because they will be able to instantly think like humans, be like humans kind of thing. And then, all of a sudden they're creating their own things, right? So I think that's kind of like, we're talking maybe like 10 years down the line, maybe 5 years down the line, depending on how fast AI is going. But I think that's the only sort of side of things which you could potentially have an issue. Yeah.
May I address this quickly?
Sure. Sure.
I think that the same let's call it moral issues are surfacing with virtual reality and augmented reality and XR as such.
Yeah.
It depends a lot what you bring into this medium and what you bring into the field, what you're expecting. So whatever you bring in, well, this will the way what comes out, that's a huge it's a huge question. What expectations do you have? Do you want to do good with this? Do you want to expand in a positive way and in a collaborative way? And for AI, the same is happening. If you instruct AI with aspects of human life that are detrimental, well, you cannot expect AI to tackle this positively for us. So I have the notion that the language learning models have to be addressed with a certain agreement, human agreement. What do we give AI? What do we feed AI with? And so I think that's also something we might want to agree on. Absolutely.
No, I completely get it. And yeah, it's just, I think we're just living through a crazy time, regardless what way we look at it. But thank you for sharing that, Jens. And Matt Magera, over to you. If you could just quickly sort of introduce yourself first of all, and then we'll get into the question of your thoughts on what's happening in your side of things, with what the government should could policy wise play into supporting workers displaced by AI. So over to you, Matt.
Okay, hi. Thanks for the session. So sorry I was a bit late there. I had some bit of issue with my camera, but my name is Matt Magera. I'm part of a company called Jobsy, based in Nairobi, Kenya. So what we do, we generally provide both job seekers and employers with tools. So on the job seeker side, it's simply helping them get jobs, helping them actually use some AI tools to help them with their resumes and cover letters. On the employer side, it's helping them with the recruiting process, shortlisting, also some bit of background checking and validating the documents provided by candidates. So that's what we do back at Jobsy in a nutshell. About this question, I'm also not a policy expert, but maybe I can give it a try.
It would be, sorry, just to jump in, it would be interesting to hear your perspective on your side of things, like what's happening, over in like your continent side of things, etc. So I'm just curious to hear, what's happening there.
So here in Africa, I think the governments are still in the blues when it comes to AI. We haven't yet seen any bit of shake, any bit of policy work. But from a global point of view, I'd say I think government should create a safety net because times are changing. The workforce will change radically in the coming years, and it would be very important for the guys who are going to be displaced to have a safety net, at least have something. I believe Christopher mentioned a universal basic income. So probably this is something we should see more governments down the road adopting to support people being displaced by AI. And with this model has actually worked in a number of countries out there. So it's just picking up the learnings from those countries, figuring out what works, what doesn't, and how can we best put this together to make it work. But I'd say it's highly unlikely that any government will get this right. It's typical of most governments around the world. So there'll obviously be a lot of mistakes and a lot of mishappenings here and there. It's just taking it one step at a time, learning, not putting the gas pedal on regulation, and at least seeing how AI is behaving, what's possible, what's not possible. Because even for the scientists out there, there's still a lot to figuring out. Everybody's still guessing. Everybody's like, will the models do this? Everybody's in contention. So there's a lot to figure out. But yeah, I'd say there's no correct answer for this. It's just we sit back and watch what happens.
Fair enough, Matt. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the roundtable as well. We've only got 15 minutes left on this roundtable, so we're going to fly through the questions. So if we can keep the answers as short as possible, straight to the point, that'd be appreciated. I just want to say a quick hello as well to Lynn, Rose Ashford, who's in the comments, Brett Ashton. Hello to everyone who's watching as well. From live, right? So next question is, how can lifelong learning and continuous education be integrated into careers to mitigate the risks of layoffs due to AI? So, like I said, let's keep the answers short, please. Asia, I'll go over to you, and then we'll go over to Randall after. So, please tell me I said your name right.
That's very close. It's Asya.
I'm trying. I'm really trying.
I know you are, and I love you for it. Thank you. Okay, so keeping it brief, we need to be lifelong learners because, again, the alternative. What is the alternative to lifelong learning? That's assuming nothing's going to change. That's it. That is the alternative, and then leaving our futures in the hands of the hope and prayer that nothing will change, or if it changes, it's in our favor. So, just keeping it brief, get familiar with AI and what it means. See how you can incorporate it into what you do to make your life easier. I like to say that the thing about AI, on some level, it feels like it levels things a little bit because everybody has the same access to the same type of knowledge. But what it actually requires from us is asking better questions. So get really good at asking better questions. Like that is the key to leveraging AI and almost anything, on and offline. So I'll leave it at that. But
thank you so much. Thank you for keeping it brief. And I completely agree with you. The command prompts are so important with AI. So get down on the command prompts. Whatever you got to do, watch YouTube, learn it. You ask AI different command prompts if you need to. Just learn those sort of ways. And Randall, I'll hand this over to you now. What are your thoughts on this question?
I loved what you said. Keep a curious mindset and learn how to use AI. I've been a lifelong learner myself. I'm currently working on my PhD focused on organizational development, leveraging AI for improved workflows. And the most important part is how to augment our own capabilities. All of us right now with our phones, we have some sort of knowledge on how to do something, right? But what we need help with is spreading maybe that intelligence and wisdom. We have a tremendous amount of wisdom that's been gained from generations of our families and friends and colleagues. To be able to take that, capture it, and then leverage it to, for instance, my own research for my PhD, to be able to compile a list of resources or quotes or to find things in a matter of seconds that would typically have taken days to find resources is huge. In the workplace, being able to ask the right prompts to help compile information or to summarize vast amounts of data in seconds that would normally take a team of people days to do is profound. So learn how to ask those questions, but I think in each one of us need to just learn how to be more inquisitive, flexible in what we're doing, and help our organizations become learning organizations.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. And what both of you said is perfect. That's it. You just got to keep evolving. You just got to keep adapting. You just got to keep learning, and you just got to keep moving forward, so to speak, in very simple terms. Now, the next question, and we've only got 10 minutes, so we might have to skip a couple questions. So we'll do this question, next question, and then the final question, and then we'll round things up. So in what ways can AI itself be leveraged to help workers find new opportunities or train in new skills post-layoff? So Emily will bring you on this one. And then also Jane will bring you on this one as well from a health perspective as well. So Emily, we'll start with you, and if you can keep it brief as possible, that would be great, so we can get some more questions in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward that the AI has so many tools that people can use to create what they have been maybe wanting to do for a long time, but haven't found the time. I was the general manager of a grocery store during COVID, and one of my jobs was to work with small businesses and to help small businesses and their startups. And it was amazing how many businesses came out of COVID. And there were so many people that finally found themselves with the time to do things that they'd wanted to do for ages. And it was just a hobby. It was something they enjoyed. And then they had the time and they had the resources to invest into that just because they enjoyed it. And then they had all of their friends and their peers say, this is amazing. I want some. Can I buy it? You should make a business. And then they eventually do it. And then they'd come to me with this product and they'd say like, oh, I actually just started this in COVID and I'm actually a lawyer. So eventually I have to go back to that. And I'm like, don't do that. You're a cheesemonger. You're not a lawyer. You're a cheesemonger, and you just see like they just light up about it. And I think that like the thing is like with all of these layoffs, and it's awful, but it gives us time. We just have to be able to support the investment of that time financially.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. You're preaching to the choir, Emily. Dr. Jane, over to you. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to give a specific example. So I'm an academic. I have a curriculum vitae that is 14 pages long. I'm applying for a consultant position, and I took the actual job description. I put it into ChatGPT 4 with my CV, and I said, generate a resume that is appropriate for this specific job.
No way.
So you can have individualized training plans. I mean, absolutely use these tools. So I talk about this with my students. If they're wanting to go for a residency, what do you need? What is an example of the steps to get you there? And I absolutely, for talking about healthcare, I cannot leave out about simulations. The virtual reality simulations are becoming so incredibly accessible. So even my daughter is 14 years old. We have a career center, so they can do a lot of things to get trained to be an EMT, a CMT, so they can train to be a phlebotomist. And so there really has been, the tools are phenomenal, and they've become so accessible and a lot cheaper because you're not paying the same person to do the same training over and over again. It's been created once and now it's accessible. So there's a lot of tools.
Wow. Yeah. I love VR and AR actually, like just the, that the metaverse, I love that whole thing. And I definitely think, that's going to be so many opportunities and so many tools there which people can use, like how you just said, Jane. So yeah, absolutely agree. And Carol S said, prompting is the key. Great point, Asia. So awesome. All right, next question, and then we'll skip to the final question because we've got literally 6 minutes. So we'll do we'll do this question. What ethical considerations should companies prioritize when implementing AI in a way that leads to workforce reductions? Randall, we'll bring you onto this one because obviously you have your own company, and then we'll skip to the last question, and then we'll bring the final question to a close. So over to you, Randall.
Yeah, thank you. To clarify, I don't own my own company. I work for the largest mapping software company in the world. Not mine. I wish it was. I think the number one thing we got to consider is just the impact to the daily lives of employees when measured against earnings of a company. When I look back at the career and I look at what companies are doing in telecom, you're trying to outsource as much as possible so you can increase your margin and increase earnings. And where possible, leverage AI and automated workers, robots, drones, etc., to replace those payroll and those healthcare costs, 401k, etc. I think you got to look at that as at a societal level and say, okay, well, what good are we bringing to humanity? Let's keep folks. Let's augment our workforce and their capabilities, but let's also honor our people. So I think it's that scale of looking at leveraging AI and machine learning and automated workers and keeping our investors and those margins happy.
Absolutely. And, I'll talk on this as well. I think also, you could also leverage, other technologies as well. So like how we've spoken about metaverse and all that as well. But, let's even look at the blockchain side, for example. Like we could even leverage that technology, right, to help, keep more people in the workforce and reduce those workforce layoffs, right? So I definitely think there's multiple different avenues which you can go down other than just AI technology. I get it, AI is a big thing, etc. Use AI technology, use AI in your company, etc. But I definitely think there's other technologies which you can use additionally to allow these sort of workforce reductions to lower that, so that you're not laying off as many people. That way you can keep more of your workforce, and if you can keep more of your workforce, that means you're even more productive in your company. So that's just my 2 cents on that. And we've got to go straight to the last question now, because we've got literally 3 minutes. So the last question is, looking ahead, how might emerging technologies define the concept of work and employment over the next decade? So we will jump on to Jens for this. Then we'll finish. Well, actually, let's bring Matt into this, because he hasn't really spoken much. So Matt, we'll bring you onto this. Then we will finish things up. So Matt, we're going to leave you. You've got the last discussion here. So jump in, get stuck in, and answer the question.
I think what's going to change radically in the coming years, what AI is going to bring is a lot of automation. So we might see the end to a lot of repetitive tasks, a lot of manual tasks, and I think work will be more, what's it called? It will be more technical, more specialist. Human beings will. I see a scenario where us as human beings go hand in hand with the AI, filling in the creative gaps, and then adding that human touch to to what AI provides. Even today, as we use these AI tools, as we use these LLMs, we realize that AI is only as good as the people using it. It's the biggest career now, I think, is prompt engineering, where we have a lot of guys whose job is just to prompt these AI models to bring in the right feedback. So we might see work changing towards us working hand in hand with AI, just adding that human touch, and as the AI automates and finalizes those manual processes. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Matt. And yeah, I believe that there's a lot that could happen in the next decade for sure. And I definitely think that, like how I was saying before, emerging technologies will help reduce the unemployment and, basically create new employment opportunities. I mean, for example, let's look at this from a creative aspect, from Jen's point of view, for example, right? Blockchain technology allows creators, right, to be able to sell their unique work, right, sell their artwork, and even combine it with AI with the blockchain technology and authenticating it. So I definitely think that the different technologies can help with that. And yeah, on that note, I've just looked at the time, so we have to finish up. But do follow every single one of these people on LinkedIn if you want to continue the discussions. And I appreciate every one of you join us on this roundtable discussion. And I'll finish off by saying, Christopher, our gather was well. Over to you, Christopher.